To honor your contribution to the creation of the elixir of immortality, the divine medicine of ageless, undying life, we have decided to bestow upon you the title of the Empire's greatest physician, Hekbiyu. Hekbiyu clenched both hands tightly at last. Do you know how many times I had to crawl through the mud to get here today? Those hellish days are finally over. Hekbiyu walked down the red carpet. The Emperor sat high upon his throne, looking down at her. You brought it, didn't you? She bowed slightly. Of course. Your Majesty. An official gave a dry cough. To have your medicine used on the noblest body in existence is an honor for your family. Two noble women whispered among themselves nearby. A low-born Easterner. What family honor could she possibly have? I heard she abandoned that family herself. That crude family has already fallen into ruin. With her back to them, Hekbiyu's brow twitched faintly. Go on, say whatever you like. You people who sneer at Easterners, I only need to obtain the royal secret treasure. Then the Emperor's voice came from above. So, you said you would offer the elixir of immortality in exchange for one wish. Hekbiyu knelt below the steps. Yes, your Majesty. The Emperor rested his chin on one hand, a cold smile curling at his lips. Hekbiyu suddenly looked up. The nobles around her stared with mocking eyes. She murmured in disbelief. What? A guard drew his sword, and the blade sliced through the air. The guard swung both swords, and a deadly flash slashed toward Hekbiyu. Blood seeped from the corner of her mouth. She crashed heavily to the floor, her body sliding along the red carpet. The Emperor's voice rang out again. The more I thought about it, the more uneasy I became. If we let you live, who can guarantee you won't make another elixir of immortality for someone else? Hekbiyu curled up on the ground, blood soaking her clothes. I was too careless. Even if you swore you wouldn't, how could I possibly trust you? I have no need for any immortal being besides myself. A smile remained on the Emperor's face, but his eyes were cold as frost. So you must die. The nobles laughed in cruel delight. Don't even think about looking for water. I know very well that your healing ability requires clean water. Even the greatest physician of the East is helpless against an ambush. Hekbiyu raised her head. What? Then she suddenly burst out laughing. Your Majesty, you'd better watch your hair. The Emperor jolted in shock. Hekbiyu's voice echoed through the great hall. Didn't you secretly commission me to make a hair growth tonic for you? You're rotten to the core. Your own hair couldn't stand you anymore. The Emperor panicked and clutched his head. The nobles began to stir uneasily. The Emperor ground his teeth. What did you just say? That would mean war. You woman. The Emperor roared. You vicious woman. Hekbiyu staggered back, her body on the verge of collapse. She fell to the ground, her vision blurring. This body's at its limit too. I thought that if I became a genius who surpassed everyone else, everything would be different. But in the end, fighting alone never works. If I hadn't been by myself, if someone had been there to guard my back, would the outcome have been different? This life was a failure too. Hekbiyu closed her eyes. Then, farewell, everyone. She raised her arm high and, with the last of her strength, cursed them. I sincerely hope all of you die miserably in the flames of war. Oh, right. She suddenly remembered something. That elixir of immortality was fake. Hekbiyu flashed a brilliant smile as blood slid from the corner of her mouth. The gears of time and space began to turn. Everything shattered and reformed. Hekbiyu shot upright in bed. She gasped for air. Damn it, I failed again. She gripped the blanket tightly in both hands. I have to live another 20 years. Hekbiyu widened her eyes. All of this happened because I possessed the body of the doomed pharmacist in my friend's favorite novel. She was actually a genius. My friend was the type to go on and on about childcare stories all day long. She talked about that novel so much my ears nearly grew calluses. Childcare stories are the best. Then one day I woke up and found myself inside that very novel. Why me? Why not that damn friend instead? The title of that Eastern-style childcare novel was The Little Apothecary is also a great chef. The protagonist could heal others through cooking. With her genius-level talent, she moved countless hearts, saved innumerable lives, and ultimately cured her father's incurable illness. In truth, there was a secret behind the protagonist's power. That will be the one over there. Please focus. Hekbiyu rested her chin on one hand, her face full of impatience. This is already the 4th time. I have to come here every single time. It's seriously annoying. The first time I possessed this body, fine, I was born here. But why is it that every time I die, I return to being 3 years old? A lecturer stood at the front. Today, you have all been gathered here to test whether you can wield the power of our family. Those who display exceptional talent will receive support from the main house. The lecturer picked up a piece of chalk and wrote the family history on the blackboard. Before the test begins, let's first have a brief history lesson. The continent we live on is broadly divided into the Eastern continent and the Western continent. The East worships the sky, wind, nature, and water. The West worships the earth and flame. Our great Heck family traces its ancestors to mysterious visitors from the East. They crossed the continent guarded by dragons and came west. The people of the Eastern continent can receive the blessing of dragons and use powers connected to nature. These abilities include water, wind, lightning, plants, and more. Among them, the most unparalleled of all is the extraordinary power of healing. The first head of our family, Heck Ahua, once used healing power to save the emperor's life during a plague. For that, he was granted a noble title. They settled in the White Tiger Empire and established a prestigious lineage of apothecaries and physicians, the Heck family. That is the long and glorious history of our family. Heck Bu listened absent-mindedly. It's always like this. They use history lessons as a clever way to brainwash us. The lecturer's voice rang out again. The test will now begin. He pressed his hands together. Focus your minds and look at the object before you. A cup of water, a fan, a piece of, or anything. Choose whichever you like. Heck Bu looked at the cup of water in front of her. Oh, this time they're actually using purified water. She picked up the cup. The lecturer continued. Use these objects to treat the patient assigned to you. The room was full of people lying down. There were patients brought in from the slums. Voices rose and fell all around. A child suddenly burst into tears. Mama, I want to go home. Papa, I am scared. A woman led him to a patient. The patient's feet were covered in festering, rotting sores. Heck Bu frowned. Just to find gifted children, they make them face severely ill patients. What do the children do wrong? What do the patients do wrong? I'm so sick of this damn family. Heck Bu abruptly stood up. A woman pressed down on her shoulder. See, as long as the test ends, that's enough, right? Heck Bu dipped her hand into the cup of water. Fine, let's get this over with. Water surged up from the cup. In an instant, it became a massive water vortex that swept through the entire room. The attendants stared in shock at the sight. The water, under Heck Bu's control, washed over every patient with perfect precision, healing their wounds. My name is Heck Bu. I'm the cousin of the original protagonist. I'm also the hidden genius of the family and an apothecary. To borrow my friend's words, Heck Bu was a child blessed with extraordinary talent and peerless beauty, yet as fragile as a butterfly and fated to die young. And yet, when I first possessed this body, I firmly believed I could survive. Why, you ask? Because I knew everything, from the beginning of the story to the end. Thanks to my friend, I had been forced to memorize the entire plot. But after living 3 lives, I died spectacularly every single time. The first time, my talent appeared earlier than anyone else's, but I had no backing. The family used me like a slave, and in the end, I died in a riot caused by a crazed patient. The second time, I learned my lesson, hid my talent, and lived diligently, only to die falling off a cliff alongside a deranged patient I was trying to stop. The third time, I'd had enough. Truly enough. To hell with support plots. To hell with this cursed family. Isn't there a wish-granting treasure in the Imperial Palace? I was going to get it and return to my original world. I succeeded in becoming the Empire's #1 physician, but because of that damned bald bastard, I died once again because of the Emperor. Thanks to those 3 deaths, I finally understood this. No matter how many Eastern immigrants there are, this empire has hatred and discrimination carved deep into its bones. It's not something I can overcome alone. I need allies. My own power base. The power of the Heck family. Heck Bu lifted her head, her gaze firm. I already know every illness these patients have. It's epidemic fever. I've seen it 4 times already. There's no need for diagnosis. As for the prescription, mix that root with licorice herb. The water transformed into golden light and flowed precisely into each patient's mouth. A man stared in shock at the sight. The golden medicine streamed through them, and the festering sores on their arms visibly began to fade. One patient slowly sat up. He looked at his hands. Oh, I am cured. The others also began rising one after another. Their wounds had healed. Their fevers had broken. Heck Bu turned to face the lecturer. That should be enough, right? The lecturer hurried forward. Wait, Miss Heck Bu. Heck Bu stood alone in the center of the vast hall, her back lonely and resolute. Rapid footsteps echoed through the corridor, drawing closer and closer. Heck Bu lifted her little face. Wow, this place is absurdly huge. It's practically a village. There's no way my tiny body can keep walking through all this. The current head of the Heck family, my grandmother, Heck Moran, gave birth to 5 sons and 3 daughters. 1 son and 1 daughter died young, and another son disappeared. That left 3 sons and 2 daughters. Unfortunately, all 3 remaining sons were afflicted with incurable illnesses and imprisoned in the East Courtyard. One of those patients is my father. Another is the heroine Heck Ian's father. Heck Bu walked beneath the long corridor. Those 3 sons were once renowned warriors, yet all were struck by incurable diseases. This outcome was inevitable. The Heck family is slowly heading toward destruction. They need a genius to lead the family, which is why they are so desperate to discover talented heirs and hold regular examinations. They summon everyone, collateral relatives, illegitimate children, and children like me who are being confined here. But no matter how brilliantly you perform on the test, it's impossible to attract the family head's attention. The ants who manipulate the family from behind the scenes secretly suppress the news and eliminate any rivals to their own children. I went through this in my previous life too. There's no need to walk that difficult road again. Better to follow the support character route. However, Heck Ian is only 2 years old right now. She can't help me, which means I have to clear the path for her first. I need to remove obstacles for the protagonist and pave a flower-strewn road so she can become family head as quickly as possible. When that happens, we'll definitely get another chance to enter the Imperial Palace together. Then I'll be able to obtain the treasure and return to my original world. Heck Bu made up her mind, but first, I have to find that person. She suddenly ran into something. Ow! Her body hit the ground hard. That hurts. Heck Bu rubbed her nose, her eyes tearing up from the pain. My nose. She looked up and froze. A man lay on the ground, with ink-black long hair and a pale face. Light flashed in Heck Bu's eyes. Found him. He was the youngest of the 3 brothers imprisoned in the East Courtyard. The heroine's father, my uncle, Heck Bilong. Heck Bu knelt beside him and gently shook his body. Uncle, wake up. Uncle. She increased her strength. I said, wake up already. Heck Bu shook him hard, but he didn't move at all. Instead, the force jarred her own hand painfully. This is worse than I expected. Uncle suddenly sleeping in the middle of the corridor isn't because he likes sleeping on the floor. It's because he suffers from severe hypersomnia and sleepwalking. So severe he can't live a normal life. This is the incurable disease of my first patient. Severe hypersomnia and sleepwalking to the point that daily life itself becomes impossible. This is the incurable illness of my very first patient. Heck Bu looked down at the man lying there. Even hitting him like this gets no reaction at all. She suddenly froze. The corner of her eye twitched. Heck Bu clutched her reddened palm and gave a faint groan. My hand hurts even more now. Is he made of steel or something? Heck Bu poured medicinal water into a bowl. The blue liquid glimmered softly. She lifted the bowl, eyes resolute. I have to start by treating him. Heck Bu placed her hand into the bowl, her fingertips touching the surface. The water seemed to come alive, rising from the bowl and curling around her wrist. She tilted her head back to gaze at the strange sight as the water danced before her. This was my first ability. I can use water to heal myself, but only if it's extremely pure water. Heck Bu nodded in satisfaction. Good. Unfortunately, this method can't heal other people, but that's all right. I still have my second ability. More importantly right now is figuring out how to wake this uncle of mine. He doesn't look easy to rouse, but I have no intention of backing down. This is already my 4th life. I can't afford to waste a single day. This is my last chance. Heck Bu clenched her tiny fist and leaned closer to Heck Bilong. Uncle. With all her strength, Heck Bu punched the man. Wake up already. She pushed herself upright and stared at Heck Bilong in disbelief. Even that didn't work. Suddenly, a hand seized her wrist. A force yanked Heck Bu upward as she instantly lost her balance. She was lifted right off the ground. Heck Bilong slowly sat up and let out a long breath. Holding Heck Bu in the air with one hand, he said, "This is the first time anyone's ever tried to assassinate me like this." Their eyes met, and the air seemed to freeze. "Who are you, brat?" Heck Bilong's gaze was icy. "Do you want to die?" Heck Bu struggled painfully. "I can't breathe, Uncle. It's me, Heck Bu. Uncle, let go." Heck Bu looked confused. "Let go of what?" Then she roared, "Your niece." Heck Bu suddenly jolted awake. Could she be second brother's daughter? She looks exactly like my sister-in-law. Heck Bu was released and started coughing violently. "I'm only 3 years old. What kind of treatment is this?" "Because of you, my hatred for this novel just increased by another 20%. Heck Bu pushed herself up and looked at him with watery eyes. "So your little Bu?" Heck Bu froze. "Butterfly?" Heck Bu lifted her head. "Why are you calling me little butterfly? My friends call me that, and now even Uncle does too. Do I have some connection to butterflies or something? I don't remember any setting like that. Oh, right. Uncle, why were you sleeping alone in the corridor? Heck Belong stiffened and looked away. Because the weather was nice. A lie. A complete lie. Because of her hypersomnia, you can barely even eat properly. On top of that, because of your sleepwalking, you sent your own daughter to the West Wing while locking yourself in the East Wing. Unlike the West Wing, where the family's affairs are handled, the abandoned East Wing houses those under confinement. The family heads 3 sons with incurable illnesses, as well as me and a male cousin. 10 years later, Heck Ian will cure one of these 3 patients. The other 2, including my father, will die before then. Of course, there's still a long time until that point. Heck Bu crossed her arms and puffed out her cheeks. That's the problem. I can't wait 10 years. I need to get the royal treasure as soon as possible. So, Uncle, let's join forces as people whose interests align. Heck Bu tugged on the man's sleeve and looked up at him. Uncle, listen to me. I'll tell you one secret, and only you. She leaned closer to his face and whispered softly, I'm actually a genius. Heck Bilong looked utterly bewildered. So, he waved his hand impatiently. Stop talking nonsense, Brad. Go play somewhere else. Then Heck Bu's voice came from behind him. I can cure your illness, Uncle. Heck Bylong's gaze instantly sharpened, his pupils shrinking in shock. He stared at the little girl in front of him in disbelief. Heck Bu smiled as she declared, I can cure the disease no one else has been able to cure. I'm that kind of genius. Heck Bilong said nothing. He simply looked at her in silence. His face was full of misfortune. Are you a patient too? I get it. He must have seen countless physicians and alchemists already. But if he's lumping me in with them, then he's gravely mistaken. Heck Bu raised a glass of water. Experience it for yourself, and you'll understand. Heck Belong looked puzzled. Water burst forth. Spiraling, it rushed toward the man. Heck Bylong's eyes widened. What? In an instant, the water wrapped around him and formed a giant sphere. I'll show you. Heck Bu's eyes were unwavering. This is my second ability, the power that let me become the Empire's greatest physician in my 3rd life. Heck Belong choked and sputtered in the water. Heck Bu raised her palm. Don't talk. I'm diagnosing you. You've never done this before, have you? Her voice echoed through the water. You should be used to water. You're a water-type ability user, after all. Heck Bilong roared inside the sphere. What kind of nonsense are you talking about? Heck Bu's sleeve slipped down, exposing an ugly bruise. That bruise made Heck Bylong's thoughts flash back, right? When I woke up earlier, I thought she was an assassin, so I didn't hold back at all. That tiny child endured all of it without even letting out a scream. Countless bubbles appeared in the flow of water, each one wrapping around a medicinal ingredient. Wow, that is way too much information. Heck Bu tilted her head up to look at her uncle's body, which was covered by a network of bubbles representing symptoms. How many medicines is this going to take? My second ability is diagnosing a patient through water and directly creating medicine. If it's an illness I've treated before, then as long as I have the ingredients, I can produce medicine on the spot just like I did during the test. If it's an unfamiliar disease, then through this kind of diagnosis, I can determine the necessary ingredients and formula. Most importantly, I've already lived through a 3rd life and built up a massive database. Put simply, I can cure most illnesses on the spot. But Uncle's disease, no wonder it was called an incurable illness, or even a curse, in the original story. It needs more medicine than even a dying person would. Fortunately, the medicine for the early stage is simple. As long as you give me time and ingredients, I can cure it. The water vortex instantly dissipated, and Heck Belong fell to the floor, soaked through. He blankly raised a hand and wiped the water from his face. What the hell was that? Uncle, your illness. He suddenly clamped his hands over his ears. I'm not listening. He grabbed at his own hair, looking almost insane. Heck Bu stayed calm. Why? I'm helping you get better. Sleeping on the ground whenever you please. That's strange. Heck Bilong waved his arms. I just sleep a lot. That's not a disease. If you've got that kind of ability, then go back to the main residence. What are you wandering around here for? Heck Bu folded her arms. What a stubborn patient. But I'm already used to this. Why do sick people always insist they're not sick? Heck Bilong said nothing. He lifted a hand to his forehead and let out a weary sigh. Do you know how many people I've seen as an apothecary and physician? Every person who came to me was the same. They arrived full of confidence and left accomplishing nothing. Heck Bilong closed his eyes, covering half his face with one hand. Fine, I'm a patient, but I have no intention of listening to your diagnosis. I'm sick of hearing it. Sick of hearing this damned illness can't be cured. Heck Bu was startled by his outburst, and her body flinched slightly. Heck Bu hugged the water bottle tightly. If you don't listen, you'll regret it. Good grief, this kid really is something. I already said I'm not listening. all right? Fine, then don't listen. Heck Bilong froze. What? She's suddenly being so obedient? Heck Bu tilted her head slightly. Of course, it would be best if you listened to me from the beginning, but I never expected to succeed in one try. You've been sick for a long time, Uncle, so you've become very sensitive. I'm satisfied just getting to meet you today. I'll see you next time. Uncle, go see your father. Heck Bilong lightly tapped her forehead with his fingertip. Don't go tattling to my second brother. Got it. Heck Bilong turned and walked away, step by step. Heck Bu's lips moved soundlessly. 3, 2, 1. Heck Bilong's body suddenly swayed, and he collapsed straight backward. He hit the stone courtyard hard and lay there motionless. Heck Bu crouched beside him. My friend said, this is called Sleeping Beauty. Is it? What's Sleeping Beauty? He's clearly just a stubborn, awful uncle. She let out a soft sigh, her gaze dropping to the bruise on her arm. And then there's this bruise too. Should I let him be for a little longer? I should go make the medicine. When he woke up, there was no refreshing clarity, only irritation and exhaustion washing over him. How much time has passed this time? Just how long was I asleep? The dragon's blessing makes my body many times stronger than an ordinary person's. Even if I sleep without eating or drinking, I won't die. But that's all. My time is thrown away like garbage. My little daily life, the time spent with my dearest friend, even the time to cherish my only daughter, all of it has been stolen from me. Even Ian, who was just born back then, should be old enough to call me father by now. A voice pierced the silence. Uncle, Heck Bu came rushing in. Uncle, she patted Heck Bilong's cheek. Wake up. If you sleep here, your mouth will end up crooked. Heck Bilong's eyes flew open. Damn it, this kid really is. Heck Bu cheered. Yay, he's awake. Heck Bilong sat up. How do you manage to find these corners every single time? I've lived here for years. How could I not be able to find one uncle? Damn, even my eldest brother doesn't bother me while I'm sleeping. But this little thing is different. She comes to annoy me every single day without fail. If not for second brother. If not for that face. Heck Bilong clenched his fist, a trace of pain flashing in his eyes. And then there's that bruise. Damn it, she said she's a healer. Couldn't she even heal her own hand? He waved his hand impatiently. Fine, I get it. What do you want? Heck Bu pulled a bottle from her chest and held it out to him. The golden liquid inside sparkled. I finished it. She held up the medicine bottle with both hands, pride shining across her face. Time to take your medicine. Heck Bilong narrowed his eyes. Did I hear that right? You want me to drink some mixture brewed by an unlicensed amateur hobbyist? Heck Bu puffed up her cheeks. Just try it. Are you trying to poison me? Why? If I said it was poison, would you drink it? Heck Bilong held out his hand. Well said. I don't want to live anyway. Hand it over. I'll help you die. Of course, that was a lie. How could I die and leave my precious daughter all alone? Heck Bu's eyes suddenly turned cold. Dying is easier than you think. Uncle, so don't say things like that so casually. We are a family that saves lives. Heck Bilong was left speechless for a moment. Heck Bu's voice was clear and unwavering. Uncle, your first symptoms appeared 12 years ago. Her voice cut through his memories. It began when you collapsed during a gathering at the main residence, right? Now, once you fall asleep, you remain unconscious for 3 to 5 days. And when you're awake, you may not even stay conscious for 1 full hour in a day. The symptoms only grow worse. If you don't eat properly, the deterioration speeds up even more. Well, that's my diagnosis. Heck Bilong's pupils contracted slightly. He had no answer. Heck Bu raised the bottle again. So please drink this medicine. You don't really have anything to lose. I know you're anxious, because up until now, all you've met are quacks. But I'm different. She flashed him a radiant smile. Believe me, I told you, didn't I? I'm very good at healing people. Heck Bilong's gaze lingered on her confident face, then moved to her purple hair. A distant voice sounded in his mind. You have to trust me, young master. My treatment is the best. Heck Bilong was silent for a moment. Then he slowly spoke. Hand it over. Heck Bu blinked. Huh? What a surprise. I thought he'd reject me again today. Why are you carrying such a huge thing? Was this the only bottle you could find? Heck Bilong took the medicine bottle. If I drink this, you have to keep your promise. Stop coming to bother me. Heck Bu gave him a thumbs up. Of course. Heck Bilong tipped his head back and downed the medicine in one gulp. Fortunately, there's an abandoned herb garden in the East Wing. Thanks to that, I was able to prepare this in advance. Heck Bilong's expression froze instantly. He suddenly bent over and started retching. What does this taste? What on earth did you put in it? Heck Bu clapped her little hands. Oh, you drank it all. She held out a piece of candy. Uncle, you did great. Want some candy? Heck Bilong roared and slapped her hand away. I don't want it. He glared furiously. Tell me the truth right now. Were you trying to poison me? Heck Bu looked disdainful. With the dragon's blessing, he's more resistant to poison than anyone. What a fuss over nothing. Haven't you ever heard that good medicine tastes bitter? She turned and started walking away. Then I'm leaving, Uncle. Heck Belong sprang up from the ground. Hey, where are you going? Get back here and explain yourself properly. Uncle, wake up. Take your medicine. Uncle, stop right there, Uncle. Uncle, it's time to take your medicine. Left alone, Heck Belong sank into thought. What exactly is that child plotting? A normal child would ask an adult for games or comfort or bedtime stories. But that little brat only cares about forcing medicine down my throat. And she never mentions her own father. Heck Belong sat in the corridor. Forget it. In my second brother's condition, he probably can't take care of her anyway. He irritably raked his fingers through his hair and sighed. Stop thinking about it. I can barely hold myself together as it is. How would I have the leisure to worry about anyone else? It's all because the bruise on her wrist still hasn't faded that I can't bring myself to drive her away. Damn it, I can't even sleep now. She's getting more annoying by the day. Then he abruptly stopped, shock in his eyes. Heck Belong rose to his feet. Sunlight spilled over the corridor. Wait, I'm not sleepy. Come to think of it, how long has it been? Has my waking time recently gone past 2 hours? I woke up at 2 this afternoon. It's already 5 now. Heck Belong's breathing grew uneven. Damn that brat. Heck Bu was gathering herbs in the garden when she suddenly paused. What was that? I got a strange feeling. Was that just my imagination? She shook her head and bent back to her search. As I thought, it's hard to find quality herbs in the East Garden alone. Since this is a family of physicians, there are herb fields all over the East Wing, but they've been abandoned for too long. Almost no one takes care of them. I barely have enough for the second dose, but after that I'll have to go to the market and buy ingredients, somewhere outside Heck territory. Just beyond these walls lies one of the Empire's 3 great medicinal markets. Heck Bu fell into thought. I need a guardian to leave the estate. Would Uncle be willing to take me? His waking hours seem to be getting longer, but I don't know whether his body can handle it. To the market, Heck Bu calculated as she walked. No matter what, Uncle ought to have realized by now that things are improving. Suddenly, footsteps like a gust of wind came rushing from behind. Heck Belong's figure closed in like a ghost. Hey, you little brat. Heck Bu turned around in alarm. What? If he catches me, I'm dead. Heck Bu turned and bolted. Heck Belong chased after her relentlessly. Why are you running? Heck Bu panted. Because you're chasing me like crazy. Heck Belong looked confused. I'm not chasing you at all. He leaped up, his wide sleeves spreading in the air like a predator swooping down. Heck Bu let out a startled cry. Wah. Wait, we're going to crash. Heck Belong landed steadily and snatched her up in one hand. Heck Belong grinned. See, this time I caught you nice and steady. The pressure left Heck Bu unable to breathe, and she began coughing violently. Heck Belong's expression changed at once. What's wrong? Hey, brat, are you okay? Heck Bu clutched her chest. I can't breathe now. It's all your fault. My body was weak to begin with. Heck Belong held her in place. Stop the nonsense. Why did you suddenly come barging in here? He bent down, a sharp edge hidden behind his smile. What exactly did you make me eat? Heck Bu's eyes flickered. Wait, could it be he's finally realized he's getting better? A radiant smile bloomed across her face. Great, I've finally earned his trust. The trust of the protagonist's father, no less. That's an enormous advantage. From here on out, everything should go smoothly. She grabbed Heck Belong's hand. See, Uncle, I wasn't lying. All right, now let me tell you my story. Heck Belong's body suddenly went limp, and he fell straight backward. The smile froze on Heck Bu's face. Huh, Uncle. Heck Belong collapsed onto the grass, snoring evenly. Heck Bu's eyes widened in horror. Wait, you gotta be kidding me. He fell asleep at a time like this. Heck Bu screamed in despair. The story was just about to move forward. Her shrill wail echoed through the entire East Wing. Wearing her herb pouch, Heck Bu stomped along the path in a huff. One disaster after another. Why did you have to fall asleep right then? At this point, there's no other choice. She made up her mind. I wanted to go with Uncle, but now I have to go alone. Heck Bu headed toward a magnificent residence. At eldest Uncle's household, the main hall of the West Wing is home to highly skilled physicians, apothecaries, and the warriors who protect them. Meanwhile, the East Wing houses the eldest of the 3 imprisoned brothers. Those people are my cousins and aunts, the ones I'll have to surpass someday. I have to win over the East Wing first if I want to stand against them. That means getting those imprisoned patients to stand on my side. Before they fell ill, those 3 brothers were the top warriors in the family, each equal in skill. If I can persuade even 2 of them, the road ahead will become much smoother. As Heck Bu was thinking this over, a boy carrying a tray walked toward her. He failed to dodge in time, and the dishes crashed to the floor with a clatter. Heck Bu covered her aching forehead. Ow, why do I keep crashing into things? Who are you? She looked up at the boy in front of her. That unruly mop of hair. It was him. He was eldest uncle's son, my cousin, Hek Guyuan. Hek Bu tilted her face up and offered an innocent smile. Hello, cousin. My name is Bu. Hek Bu. Hek Guyuan softly repeated Bu. You're Guyuan, right? He looked slightly surprised. How do you know my name? Hek Bu answered as if it were obvious. Because we're cousins. Your father is my father's older brother, and I came here specifically to see you. Hek Guyuan turned slightly to one side. To see me? What for? A trace of wariness flashed through his eyes. Don't tell me you came looking for trouble too. Or because your father's bedridden, you thought you could come wallow in shared misery with me? Hek Bu's gaze darkened. Wow, that was impressively vicious. But I can't say it's incomprehensible. Some caretakers are just as sensitive as the patients they tend. And Hek Guyuan, who has cared for his father alone since he was 5, is even more so. My father is indeed a patient, Ichem. No, better not think about that now. Hek Guyuan turned to leave. In any case, I've got nothing to say to you. Go away. Hek Bu hurried after him. Cousin, he didn't even look back. I am Busa. I don't have time to worry about your father's affairs. Figure out your father's illness yourself. Hek Bu stopped and watched his retreating back. What a sharp-tongued child. I came all this way specifically to treat your father, you know? Useless. Looks like I'll have to come back another time. Without cousin Guyuan or uncle by my side, there's no way I can meet great uncle. He's too dangerous. Hek Guyuan, your filial devotion is truly moving. Hek Bu stopped in place when she heard the mocking voice not far away. Are you still wasting your time on something so pointless? Isn't it about time you gave up? Hek Bu turned toward the sound. That voice was, look, ever since the day you were born, your father has always been like that. The boy pointed with his finger, right? It was eldest aunt's son, Hek Dei. Hek Bu's eyes turned cold. I didn't expect to run into him here again. Children of the Hek family have 2 paths before them. Become physicians and apothecaries who heal the world, or become the warriors who protect them. Hek Dei excelled at neither. Yet he seized every opportunity he could by relying on eldest aunt's power. In the 3rd cycle, how absurd. Hek Bu fell into thought. Come to think of it, the 3rd cycle had been strange in every way. First, the protagonist, Hek Ian, suddenly became wary. Grandmother, the family head, died early. Eldest aunt, who inherited the position of family head, also died soon after. In the end, Hek Dei became the head of the Hek family. Hek Bu, do you think abandoning the family will change anything? Did you think I'd just sit back and watch? You're nothing but my toy. The family led by that bastard opposed me at every turn. Driven to the brink, I even devised a plan to wipe out the Hek family. But in the end, the Hek family wasn't destroyed by my hand. It was destroyed by someone else, my cousin Hek Guyuan. Originally, Hek Guyuan had been locked up long ago for brutally beating one of Hek Dei's lackeys. As a result, his father was left without care, his illness worsened, and he died soon after. Afterward, the protagonist comforted the deeply remorseful Hek Guyuan and took him in as a companion. But in the 3rd cycle, that Hek Ian disappeared and everything veered off track. Back then, I was too busy trying to escape the family to care about anything else. But there must be a clear reason for the massive divergence between the 3rd cycle and the original story. In this life, I have to take that into account too. Stop causing trouble and get lost. Hek Dei grinned. Wow, look at that face. What? You want to hit me? Go ahead, try it. Let me see just how crazy the son of that madman really is. Hek Guyuan's face twisted. Hm. Hek Bu sensed that something was wrong. If this turns violent, things will end badly. She suddenly charged forward. If it turns into a fight, Hek Guyuan, with no backing at all, will be the only one punished. In this life, I absolutely cannot let him go to prison again. Hek Bu sprinted across the courtyard. Hey, you idiots! Hek Dei and his companions abruptly turned around. Hek Bu appeared on the porch. A medicinal herb clenched between her lips. Looking fierce, she shouted, "Future great villain Big Brother, wait for me. Your world-class Dr. Little Sister is here to save you." Hek Bu was panting hard. So many of you ganging up on one person, bullying him with numbers? He's dizzy from overusing his power. That's a side effect of forced sprinting. Hek Dei frowned. Who is this brat? Another boy recognized her. I know her. She's Lord Hek Bihu's daughter, one of the Hek brothers who was exiled to the East District. I heard he married a woman with purple hair back then. Hek Dei let out a scornful laugh. Oh, really? Is this some kind of patient gathering today? Hek Guyuan shielded Hek Bu behind him. Hek Bu, it's dangerous here. Get back. Leave this to me. Hek Bu looked up at him. I knew it. You don't say it out loud, but you're actually a very kind big brother. Hek Guyuan froze. What? Hek Bu grabbed his sleeve. I have a way. When I count to 3, cover your mouth and jump back. Got it. She quietly opened her palm. It was a handful of blackberries. 1, 2, 3. Hekbiyu slammed the berries onto the ground, and thick smoke exploded instantly. It swallowed everyone. Hekdei and his companions coughed violently in the smoke. What the hell is this? Hekbiyu looked in the direction where Hekguyuan had disappeared. Wow, I told him to jump back, but he practically flew away. Since when could he run that far? A good helper really does need quick eyes and quick hands. In the smoke, Hekdei roared, "Hey, don't panic, it's just puff tree fruit." So this is what they mean by rotten what can still be carved. Hekbiyu spat out the herb in her mouth. That's right. Around here, this stuff is the basic ingredient for smoke bombs. You idiots probably didn't know that, though. She turned, ready to slip away, when Hekdei's voice came through the smoke. That color of smoke, if you mix in the leaves of Jingli, it turns into poison smoke. Hekdei's companions turned pale. It itches. Ugh, my stomach hurts. Hekdei gnashed his teeth. You, what the hell are you? You little brat, what did you do? Hekbiyu put her hands behind her back and turned around with an innocent expression. What does it taste? Hekdei burned with rage. You rat-like little brat. He charged at Hekbiyu. In an instant, Hekguyuan flashed in front of Hekbiyu and blocked him. He kicked Hekdei. Hekdei crashed hard onto the ground. His body slammed heavily against the earth. Hekdei's companions were scared out of their wits. Hekdei! Hekguyuan looked down at the fallen Hekdei, his eyes utterly cold. Don't touch him. Take him and get lost. Unless you want to end up just like him. Two boys hoisted Hekdei up and fled in a stumbling panic. Standing in the distance, Hekbiyu shouted after them, "If you want the antidote, grind up some jitsai." Then she looked back. "Why, you're okay, right?" Hekbiyu stared at him. This child must be frightened too. No matter how calm he looks, he's only 9 years old. I should comfort him a little. She forced a bright smile. I'm fine." Before she could finish, blood trickled from the corner of her mouth. Hekguyuan immediately held her up. "What? You? Are you hurt too?" I guess that's true. After all, I inhaled some of the poison smoke too. As long as I have water, I can heal myself right away." She secretly reached for the water bottle in her sleeve, but Hekguyuan suddenly grabbed her sleeve and vigorously wiped her face. Hekbiyu grunted from the rough rubbing and started coughing violently. "What are you doing?" Hekguyuan flushed red. "Poison smoke got on your face. Wiping it off is the basic thing to do. Your symptoms aren't like theirs. You were already sick to begin with, weren't you? No wonder I thought something was strange." He grabbed Hekbiyu's face. "If your body were fine, you'd already be living in the main house like Uncle's daughter. That child with the dark circles clearly showed signs of having powers from birth. So I just don't have that kind of ability, that's all." "All right, enough. Damn it, my skin's about to rub off. This body can heal itself, okay? Just remember that." Crows cried from the eaves. The two arrived at a quiet room. Hekguyuan set Hekbiyu down, and they sat facing each other across a low table. "So, you're saying you have healing powers?" Hekbiyu puffed out her cheeks. Hekguyuan looked at her. "You treated my little uncle, and he's already improved. So, you came to find me because you want to treat my father." "That's right. If Uncle were here, things would be much simpler." In Hekbiyu's mind, the image of a sleeping figure appeared, completely, utterly useless. Hekguyuan thought for a moment. "I understand. It's hard to believe, but I get it now." Hekguyuan's tone became firm. "Even so, I can't let you meet father." Hekbiyu looked stunned. "Huh? Why? Is it because you don't believe in my ability?" Hekguyuan shook his head. "No, father is in his frenzy phase right now. Frenzy, an illness where nothing remains except hunting instinct. It destroys everything around it. Among them, my eldest uncle, Hekbiyuan, shows the strongest killing intent and is the most dangerous. I heard he was an incredible warrior before he got sick. He could even control lightning. Even the imperial family wanted to recruit him. Father's illness has obvious stages. There's a normal phase and the frenzy phase. In the normal phase, he lives as usual. In the frenzy phase, he locks himself in the sick room. Once he enters a stable period, I'll let you see him. If that's the case, then there's nothing I can do." Hekbiyu sighed. "All right, I'll come back after the frenzy phase is over." She began to stand. "Hekbiyu, wait," he called out to her as she was about to leave. "Why don't you come live with us?" Hekbiyu froze. Hekguyuan stood up and looked straight at her. "I'll take care of you." Faint electric sparks flickered around him. "Actually, I'm an ability user too, but it's a secret." Hekbiyu's pupils widened slightly. In the Hek clan, any child who showed signs of special abilities had to live in the main house. In other words, Hek Guiyuan had been hiding his ability all this time just to take care of his father. The former assistant said he awakened in prison. Back when we ran in a Hek Dei's group, if you hadn't stepped in, things wouldn't have ended so easily. Hek Guiyuan clenched his fist. If I'm punished because of that, father will definitely be sad too. So just think of this as my way of thanking you. He gazed at Hek Biyu. Hek Biyu inwardly admired him. What a nice way to put it. Hek Guiyuan continued. Besides, it'd be better for you to stay at my house. It has to be better than that pigsty of a room you're living in. Hek Biyu beamed. What did you say? You little brat, what's wrong with my room? And just like that, Hek Biyu moved into Hek Guiyuan's home. It was even more ortable than she'd imagined. She scooped up a spoonful of rice and put it in her mouth. Ah, this is delicious. I thought he was just rich. I didn't expect him to be this capable at housework too. Fetching water, cooking, preparing meals. What can't this guy do? In the 4 years he had spent here, taking care of his father hadn't been for nothing. More importantly, it had been a long time since I'd eaten food this warm. Before this, I'd basically been living on grass. It wasn't that the servants hadn't delivered ingredients, but they had all gone to my biological father instead. I really don't want to go there, and I never intend to. Hek Biyu put down her spoon. She looked at Hek Guiyuan. Big brother, when can we go see Uncle? Hek Guiyuan pondered for a moment. We should be able to today. Hek Biyu's eyes lit up instantly. Finally, I'll get to meet Uncle Hek Biyuan. Sunlight broke through the clouds and spread across the valley. A quiet residence sat there. The heavy gate slowly opened with a dull creak. Hek Guiyuan pointed ahead. It's over there. On the ground before the gate lay a red cord. Hek Biyu asked curiously, what's that? Hek Guiyuan explained, it's a signal my father and I agreed on. If the red cord appears, it means he's regained consciousness. Hek Biyu let out a breath of relief. That's great. The first time I encountered Hek Biyuan in my first life, he was at the peak of his frenzy. That was his worst state. This is the first time I've seen Uncle as he really is. Hek Guiyuan suddenly thought of something. He should be in the garden. He pointed toward the depths of the woods. There, a figure in black with long hair was slowly walking along the path. Hek Guiyuan called out excitedly, Father! Hek Biyu stared at the figure. So that person is Hek Biyuan. Hek Biyuan slowly turned around. His scarlet eyes flashed with madness. Hek Guiyuan and Hek Biyu both froze instantly. Hek Biyu's pupils shook. What? A bloody bird was tossed to the ground. Something felt wrong about his condition. Hek Biyuan's gaze was empty and savage. We're done for. His eyes aren't focused at all. Hek Biyuan suddenly stomped the ground. He charged like lightning. Hek Guiyuan grabbed Hek Biyu. Moo! He held Hek Biyu tightly in his arms. Hek Guiyuan groaned and slammed to the ground. Carrying Hek Biyu on his back, he ran forward desperately. Hek Biyu, I can't do this much longer. Can't you attack him with water or something? I'm a healer. Damn it, if I had that kind of power, I would have pounded the crown prince into minced meat already. Her face was full of confusion and frustration. Why? Why hasn't the madness ended yet? It should have ended long ago. I'm sure he left the cord at the entrance. On his back, Hek Biyu shouted, Big brother, calm down. Her voice turned urgent. Listen carefully. We need medicine to deal with Uncle, and making medicine takes time. How long can you hold out? No, how many seconds can you last? Through gritted teeth, Hek Guiyuan squeezed out a reply. 30 seconds. Hek Biyu twisted open a medicine bottle. That's nowhere near enough. She plunged her hand into the water. The water was drawn up instantly, transforming into a huge vortex that wrapped around him. This should have been an ability for diagnosis, but the water became a solid prison, trapping the raging Hek Biyuan tightly inside. Hek Biyuan struggled inside the water prison, shock on his face. Hek Biyu pointed at him. I can't hold this for long either. She bit down hard. Damn it, if only my ability were stronger, or if Uncle were here. The water prison shook violently as she struggled with all her strength to maintain it. With his hand on the hilt of his sword, Hek Guiyuan said honestly, to tell the truth, I'm not confident about fighting father. I've never lasted more than 3 moves. But his eyes sharpened. Still, I have to try. Purple lightning gathered around him with crackling sounds. Thanks to the time you bought me, the lightning is fully gathered. He shouted, I'll have to risk my life on this. The instant Hek Biyuan broke free of the water prison, Hek Guiyuan roared and charged. The lightning-wreathed blade collided head-on with Hek Biyuan's claws. The two forces crashed together violently. Hek Guiyuan's arm went numb from the impact. Hek Biyuan caught the blade with his bare hand. Hek Guiyuan let out a muffled groan. NGH. Watching this, Hek Bu stared. What? He's holding his own better than I expected. She found it hard to believe. No to be uncle is holding back. Hek Bu struck at Hek Guyuan with one palm. The lightning-wrapped sword blocked it instantly, but the force still sent him flying. Hek Bu screamed in terror. Big brother. Hek Bayuan attacked again. Hek Bayu stood frozen. This is insane. There's no way I can dodge this. Hek Guyuan fell to the ground, staring at his father in despair. No, father. Hek Bu squeezed her eyes shut. Damn it. Who would have thought my fourth life would end this quickly? I healed uncle this time. I thought everything would be different. But this loop has only just begun. Water splashed like arrows. A voice sounded in her ear. His fist is already at your face. Shouldn't you be dodging? Hek Bu rubbed her eyes, completely bewildered. Hek Bu's fist had stopped in midair. Damn it, he was hard enough to deal with already. I just woke up. What kind of rule is this? Hek Bu's eyes widened in shock. Why is he here? According to the cycle, he should still be asleep for 4 more days. Hek Bilong controlled the water around the little brat. Pressing a hand to his forehead, he looked helpless. What would you have done without me? Making my appearance at the critical moment. Wasn't that cool? Hek Bu looked at him expressionlessly. This guy. Hek Bilong spread his arms, intoxicated with himself. The best. Absolutely the best. A thought rose in Hek Bu's mind. This guy's a complete narcissist. The raging Hek Bu let out a low roar, tightly bound by the current. He couldn't move. Hek Bilong murmured softly, "You might not know this, but I'm kind of a big deal." Hek Bilong was wrapped in violent water currents. This water is completely different from mine. My water is only a medium for healing, but this power is obviously meant for combat. Could this be the legendary, strongest water user of the Hek Bai family? Hek Bilong? Hek Bailong's gaze sharpened. Damn it. Of all times, I had to run into Big Brother before my powers recovered. Water against lightning is an absolute disadvantage. Hek Bilang shouted, "Brat, even I can't hold back my crazed Big Brother for long. Is there any way to stop him?" Hek Bu's eyes turned resolute. Yes, uncle, just buy me some time. Hek Bilong smiled confidently. Got it. Stall for time, right? His gaze hardened. Purple lightning tore through the air and came crashing down. The water barrier slammed violently against the lightning. Hek Bu cried out, "Thunder? When did he?" Hek Bailong's voice came through. Your medicine is impressive. Didn't I tell you? I can't hold on for long. Big brother Guiyuan, we're running out of time. Hek Bu opened her palm. A red flower lay there quietly. Have you seen this kind of red flower in the East? Hek Guiyuan's eyes lit up. I have. Hek Guiyuan carried Hek Bu on his back and raced through the woods. This way. I don't know who is making medicines or sedatives here, but this garden is full of poisonous herbs, including these ingredients. It's as if someone planted them on purpose. Hek Guiyuan suddenly stopped. Hek Bu formed a seal with both hands, and water gathered before her. Uncle, don't fall for it. Hold on just a little longer. Water surged. Hek Bilong stretched out a hand. Big brother. Before he got sick, he was actually a pretty decent person. Trapped in the water prison, Hek Bu let out a pained howl. Hek Bu glared at him. Can't you at least remember something? Or are you going to kill your own younger brother? Go on, kill me. Hek Bilong gritted his teeth. Damn it, how did my brothers end up with this cursed disease? It's a disgrace to the Hek family. The 3 children of the family head. How could all of them have an incurable illness? And the 3 most gifted brothers in martial skill, no less. Is this a sign that the family is going to decline? This misfortune might even be inherited by their children. I'm sick of it. What did you say just now? He was imprisoned in the East, yet he entrusted his daughter to someone like that. Someone he could trust. To be honest, I didn't have much hope. I thought his condition would worsen bit by bit, that he would sink into endless sleep and eventually die. But I saw that vanished hope. Just a little, but his body really is recovering. Big brother, if he dies, then we lose. She looks like a genius who can cure this disease. So wake up already. I'll protect this lifeline no matter what. Hek Bu and Hek Guyuan rushed over. Uncle. Hek Bu ran up and held out a small bottle. Take this. Hek Bilong took it. This is... Hek Bilong shouted. They said stab it into an artery. An artery? Then that means straight into the neck, right? Clenching his teeth, he drove the needle hard into his big brother's neck. From behind, Hek Bilong locked his brother tightly in place. The medicine slowly entered his brother's body. He collapsed limply. Hek Bilong stood there blankly, staring at the fallen figure. Hek Guyuan ran over. It worked. Hek Bilong looked dazed. What is this? To make Big Brother fall so easily? Hek Bu proudly declared, an anesthetic. It's strong enough to bring down a stone elephant. Just in case, tie him up first. Hek Bilong looked at his brother, who had been bound tightly. Are you sure this anesthetic is safe? Hek Bu folded her arms, displeased. I told him it was. Why doesn't he believe me? This guy is unbelievably stubborn. It's not poison. I specially adjusted it with his high tolerance in mind. Luckily, I still remember the experience from treating eldest uncle in the first life. Hek Bilong looked suspicious. Where does all that confidence come from? Hek Bu puffed out her little chest. Because I'm a genius. Veins bulged on Hek Bilong's forehead. That explains absolutely nothing. Are you asking for death? He reached out and pinched Hek Bu's cheek. She yelped. Hek Guiyuan immediately stopped him. Little uncle let go of her face. Hek Bilong whipped around. Hek Guiyuan, Hek Guiyuan looked at him calmly. Long time no see, but before I greet you properly, there's something I need to say first. Hek Bilong clutched his head with both hands, looking devastated. Hek Bu knelt on the ground, staring at the unconscious man before her. A faint voice came from him. Wah? Am I finally dead? His eyelids trembled, then slowly opened. What appeared before him was an unbelievably cute baby fairy. Hek Bu looked at him. So this man is Hek Bun. This is the first time I've seen him not in a frenzy, and he's completely different from what I imagined. Hek Bun slowly spoke. I'm still alive. Hek Bilong rushed in. Big brother, you're awake. Hek Guiyuan followed behind him. Father. With tears in his eyes, Hek Guiyuan cried, Father, are you all right? Lying on the ground, Hek Bun smiled in reply. I'm fine, my son. Looking at his son's tearful face, he said, Oh my, don't cry. Your handsome father's hands are tied right now, so I can't pat your head. If I had gone to the underworld, I'd have had to tell your mother our son is a crybaby. Hek Guiyuan wiped his tears. Don't say things like that. This time it really, sniff, was dangerous. Hek Bun recalled the moments before he blacked out. Right. I vaguely remember now. Mother said if I hurt anyone again, she'd kill me. Hek Bilong glared at him. Big brother, are you laughing right now? Hek Bun turned his head. Oh, I should greet my little brother too. Hek Bilong crossed his arms. Now is not the time for greetings. Hek Bun tried to move. But why? My body has no strength at all. Hek Bu explained. It's the anesthetic. Hek Bun looked puzzled. Anesthetic? He felt this strange condition of his body. It feels different from before. Oh dear, my joints ache all over. I can't move even one finger. Hek Bu looked baffled. Is he always like this? Of course you can't move. If you could still move after that shot, you'd be a super elephant. Is this the power of a body blessed by dragons? People from the Eastern continent, like eldest uncle, receive blessings from the Eastern divine dragon and are born twice as strong as ordinary people. The Western continent has something similar as well. They also revere dragons and phoenixes as divine beings. The Hek family trains such people into warriors. In a place full of discrimination, it's only natural for warriors to protect healers. But I've never enjoyed that privilege. No, rather, there was never anyone by my side at all. In my third life, I did make one friend. Forget it. In any case, eldest uncle and the others are all excellent warriors. If I can cure them and build a good relationship with them, it'll help tremendously in overcoming the trials to come. Hek Bun tilted his head and looked at Hek Bu. Smiling, he said, Come to think of it, who is this baby fairy who's been here the whole time? Hek Bu sat up straight. Her eyes were clear as she introduced herself in a babyish voice. Hello, eldest uncle. I am Hek Bu. Hek Bun copied her pronunciation. Ha, BBU. Hek Bu puffed up her cheeks. Not BBU, BU. Hek Bun nodded with a grin. Right. Little chirpy thing. So, little chirpy thing, what did you come here for? For a moment, Hek Bu faltered. Oh well. If he finds out I used anesthetic, he might resent me for no reason. My medicine has no side effects. It's perfectly safe, but the family has always treated him with harsh drugs, so he might misunderstand and get angry. Better stay quiet for now. Suddenly, Hek Guiyuan hugged him from behind. Father, this child is the one who saved you. She's Uncle Hu's daughter. She made the anesthetic that stopped your rampage. She said she wants to cure your illness. Hek Bu froze all over. Can't he just keep his mouth shut? Hek Bu nervously took a step back. Hek Bun smiled at her. So then, is this baby fairy really a fairy? All right, baby fairy. Hek Bu gathered her courage. Please stop calling me that. Hek Bun didn't mind. Sure, little cutie. He reached out and gently placed his hand on Hek Bu's head, softly patting it. Thank you for helping us. Hek Bu looked up, uncertainty in her eyes. You're not angry. Hek Bun smiled and asked back, why would I be angry? Thanks to you, I didn't hurt anyone. Though it is a little regrettable that I didn't get to roast Arung into jerky. Ha. In the distance, Hek Bilong exploded. Who wants to be roasted into jerky? You should be grateful I went easy on you. Hekbun's smile faded, and his expression turned serious. I might very well have attacked my son, too. That's the one thing I, as his father, most wanted to avoid. Gently stroking Hekbun's head, Hekbun said, "So you're my little benefactor." Hekbun lowered her head slightly. Such a pure attitude, without calculation. All my life, this family has only ever looked at me as something useful, a tool to be used. This feeling is unfamiliar. Hekbun spoke. "Little cutie, do you really intend to cure me, Enrung?" Hekbun answered firmly, "Yes." Hekbun thought for a moment. "I understand, and I'm grateful for your kindness, little chirpy thing. But there's one thing I don't understand." Hekbun paused. "What? Why did you start with us?" Hekbun continued. "You clearly have family even closer than us." Hekbun's pupil shrank. Her heart jolted. Wind moved through the woods, rippling the green water. "I mean your father, the one staying in the eastern wing." Hekbun, my father, like his brothers, he fell ill and was confined in the eastern wing. In the original story, he died very early for unknown reasons. I never once thought of actively seeking out a father like that. At first, simply knowing I had a father was enough to make me happy. In Korea, even though I was an orphan, I had met good friends, and there were people who treated me warmly. But deep down, I still longed for a real family. So I waited. Even when I was abused, even when I was beaten like a slave, I waited. Dad will come for me. Someday he'll come here and save me. And then I'll have a real family. But in my first life, I never once saw my father. By the second life, that longing had only grown stronger. Even when I was falsely accused, Hekbun looked at the maid in front of her. "Did you deliver my letter to father?" Hekbun pressed urgently. "What did he say? Will he help me?" The maid bent down, her voice heavy. "Bu, listen carefully. Your father said. He said he has no daughter." In an instant, Hekbun's world collapsed. Abandoned twice. In the third life, I left that house without hesitation. This is my fourth life. There is no longer any place for a father in my life. Even if he had his reasons, it doesn't change the fact that he didn't help me. And if he truly had no reason, then I'd only be even angrier. In this life, I only want to go home. I don't have time to care about a father who exists in name only. A man's soft voice called "Little Cutie." Hekbun suddenly came back to herself. Her little hand clenched the edge of her clothes. "Calm down. This isn't an unexpected question. The reason I wanted to save eldest uncle, the reason I came to you first, has a real basis." Hekbun raised her head, her gaze clear and resolute. "Because even if you don't remember it, you were once very kind to me. That was in my first life, when your frenzy had reached its peak." The crowd fled in panic. "Damn it, get out of the way." Hekbun was rampaging. Purple energy tore through the air, reducing everything around him to ruins. "Damn it, lock that monster up. Who said they'd die together with him? We'll die before we can even shove him in. Someone stop him." Hekbun. A hand suddenly grabbed Hekbun by the arm. A man smiled coldly at her. "It's you. Don't you have very strong healing powers? Great. You go." He gripped Hekbun's wrist hard. "Go stop him." The man shoved her forward with force. Hekbun was thrown toward the center of the raging energy. Covering his face, Hekbun staggered back in pain. Blood spread across the floor. With difficulty, he forced out a few words. "Run." The Heck family had planned to use eldest uncle's madness to attack a hostile bloodline, but when they failed to control his rampage, they used me as a scapegoat instead. Then Hekbun collapsed to the ground, covered in wounds. "It hurts." Hekbun looked down at her. "You're still so young." He pulled Hekbun into his arms. Tears slid down his face. I'm sorry. Beautiful child. Lying in his arms, Hekbun stared blankly. "You don't need to apologize." Hekbun shut his eyes in pain. "What's truly cruel is that this family won't even let you rest in death. But still, thank you. Here, the only person who would mourn me is you." Eldest uncle was the only one who had ever been gentle to me. The man looked confused. "You said I was kind to you? In the first 2 lives, I didn't have the strength, so I turned away. But this time I want to face it. I want to help you." She lifted her little face and gave an innocent smile. "You said you don't remember." The man tilted his head. "That's strange. If I met such a pretty child, there's no way I could forget." The boy behind him commented expressionlessly, "Father, that sounds incredibly shameless." Hekbelong suddenly sprang up. "Hey, what about me? If you already met Big Brother, why did you still come looking for me?" Hekbu was briefly speechless. Saying I came to be your bodyguard and also prepare for you sound a little weird. I was just passing by. Hekbelong looked utterly absurd. "What am I? Dessert after a meal? Something you just eat on the side? You should have come to me first from the start." He cleared his throat. Anyway, eldest uncle, you're all right now, because I can heal you. The man sat cross-legged. Even if it's only words. I am grateful. Heck Belong leaned closer. You think it sounds ridiculous, don't you? I understand that feeling. I was the same at first, but this time you should believe it, because thanks to her, I woke up in just 3 days. A flicker of surprise crossed the man's eyes. Really? Heck Belong slung an arm over his shoulder. That means she's the real thing. We may be witnessing the birth of a genius. She'll become the greatest figure in this city, maybe even this country. The man laughed softly. Our family's old imp is exaggerating again. All he does is sleep, but his talent for bragging sure has grown. Heck Belong jumped in anger. What? I went to all that trouble explaining. The man's smile faded. Still, if even our prickly old imp praises you like this, then you must be different from the healers we've met before. In that case, little chirpy thing, you may be young, but you seem sensible. Let me ask you this. He looked straight at Heckbu. If you cure me, what reward do you want? Eldest uncle really is sharp. He noticed that my kindness wasn't entirely pure. Heckbu raised one finger. Right now, there's only one thing I want. Please become my guardian and take me to the medicinal market. Good. I've already established ties with the future warriors. Now it's time to take the next step. One more step toward becoming the greatest divine doctor in the world. Heckbu stood with her hands on her hips, full of confidence, but the man looked troubled. That might be a little difficult. Heckbu froze. What? Why? The man pointed to himself and Heck Belong. A long time ago, Belong and I caused some major trouble. We even hurt people, so we're forbidden from going out. What? Our bodies were marked with a tracking scent. If we try to sneak out, we'll be caught immediately and punished. That can't be. I wanted to go to the market for so long. I finally won over the warriors, and now they're forbidden from leaving. I'm still a child. Without a guardian, I can't go out alone. Heckbu asked anxiously, is there really no other way? The man considered for a moment. There's one way, I suppose. In the East Wing, there happens to be one patient whose outings aren't restricted. Heckbu's eyes lit up. Don't tell me. The man smiled faintly, with a trace of blood at the corner of his lips. Yes, it's your father. Heckbu felt as if she'd been struck by lightning. Her body swayed. But that's impossible. I worked so hard to avoid him, and in the end, I still have to meet my father? In the field, Heckbu tugged at a plant with all her strength. Ugh, she fell backward, yanking it up by the roots and crashing hard to the ground. Heckbu hugged her head and let out a scream. Medicinal herbs. I need medicinal herbs. If I want to cure patients, I need the best ingredients. The ones in the East Wing aren't enough. The Empire's 3 great markets are right there beyond that wall. So why can't we go? The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. Do I really have to sneak out alone? No. In this 3-year-old body, if something happens while I'm outside alone, I'm finished. There are even organizations out there that kidnap Heck family children to steal their healing powers. At this rate, forget becoming the greatest divine doctor in the world. I won't even be able to secure my footing in the family. A man stood behind her with his hands on his hips. What are you doing? Why are you rolling around on the ground? Heckbu looked up. You saw that. She immediately lowered her head. I don't know. This is all eldest uncle's fault. Heckbelong teased. Oh, look who it is. Are you an earthworm, wriggling all over the dirt? Heckbu answered sullenly. Then eldest uncle must be soil. They say earthworms purify the ground. A vein bulged on Heckbelong's forehead. You little brat, where did you learn to talk like that? He reached out and pinched Heckbu's cheeks. Ow, ow, ow. Guiyuan, say something. What are you doing? Heck Guiyuan rebuked him loudly. How many times have I told you? Heckbu is only 3 years old. Heckbelong protested aggrievedly. Wait, that's not fair. She pinched me too. Heck Guiyuan was merciless. What's unfair about that? Heck Guiyuan continued lecturing Heckbelong. Children should be treated gently. You have a daughter yourself. How can you act like this? Heckbelong grinned. In front of my daughter, I plan to be the gentlest gentleman in the world. With a mouth like yours, who are you fooling? Heck Guiyuan crossed his arms. I really didn't expect little uncle to have so little common sense. Since you're here, can you talk with me? 1 hour will be enough. Heckbelong waved a hand impatiently. Hey, are you my teacher? Why should I waste my precious time on you? Heck Guiyuan asked expressionlessly. Then would you prefer to talk with father? The smile on Heckbelong's face froze instantly. He ground his teeth. That's a dirty move, Heck. Watching them, Hekbiu realized that in front of eldest uncle, he was unexpectedly awkward. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, scattering mottled shadows. 3 days had passed since I met eldest uncle. Hekbiu hung her head. Is father really the only option? Is there truly no other way? Hekbiu burst out laughing. No, Hekbiu looked blank, covering his mouth with one hand. Hekbiu said, well, not completely impossible. If your father transfers guardianship to us, we might be able to negotiate with the family. Hekbiu walked alone through the courtyard, her steps heavy. But in the end, that still means I have to see father. I've thought about it for 3 whole days, and I still can't accept it. I really don't want to see him. Hekbiu's voice came from behind her. Come to think of it, Hekbiu, what are you doing here? Hekbiu turned around. I am gathering medicinal herbs. Hekbiu walked over to her. That kind of work can be left to little uncle. He's overflowing with energy anyway. Or you can come find me. He gently took Hekbiu's hand. After all, it wasn't just father and little uncle who were saved. Hekbiu gazed at her. His eyes were gentle yet firm. You're my benefactor too. Hekbiu lifted her little face. That's right. I saved you from imprisonment. Yes. So grow up well and become a swallow that knows how to repay kindness. Not a bad attitude. Grow up quickly and repay your debt properly. Hekbiu was silent for a moment. All right. Suddenly, a sharp bird cry split the sky. Hekbiu jerked her head up. What was that sound? A bird dove down like lightning. Wah! Hekbiu steadily caught the falling Hekbiu and held her in his arms. A fluffy little ball wriggled in his arms. Chirp! Hekbiu's expression turned grave. A thunder beast. Hekbiu looked confused. A thunder beast? Like the kind in your head. Hekbiu looked disgusted. How did you think of something that gross? Of course not. I mean a beast made of lightning. A divine beast. When someone who possesses the power of nature becomes extraordinarily strong, their power gains a will of its own and takes the form of an animal. The original protagonist, Hek-Ian, seemed to have a sparrow-shaped divine beast too. The closer a divine beast's shape is to a real animal, the more powerful it is. Hekbiu looked at Hekbiu. My big brother raised a pitch-black one too. Do you have one as well? Hekbiu asked curiously, Little uncle, do you have a divine beast too? Then when you went crazy, why didn't it appear? Hekbiu replied, I sealed it on purpose. One madman is enough. Do we also need a mad divine beast joining the fun? He recalled how violent he had been when he lost control. Hekbiu imagined the scene. The little thing chirped again in his arms. Divine beasts aren't uncommon among the natives of the Western continent, so that part isn't strange. But I didn't know Hekbiu had one too. The original story never mentioned it. The little creature chirped again. Hekbiu looked at Hekbiu. Why are you pretending you don't see it? It's calling for its master so desperately. Hekbiu said quietly, I didn't summon it on purpose. Hekbiu was incredulous. You're not seriously trying to deny this thunder beast exists, are you? Hekbiu lowered his head in silence. Holding up the tiny creature, Hekbiu said, this is the kind of thing other people could beg for and never get. He continued, you may not know this, but divine beasts grow through their master's acknowledgement and trust. Look at him. He's practically starving to death. If you keep denying him, Hekbiu cut him off. I know. Father already explained it to me. You don't need to tell me. I already know. He walked over to Hekbiu. Uncle, what exactly is going on? Among those with special abilities, it was extremely rare for power to take the form of a divine beast. Possessing one could make a person far stronger, but that would only happen if a master accepted its existence. At this rate, it would not live much longer. Hekbiu looked at Hekbiu. This child was personally throwing away his own good fortune. Hekbiu retorted emotionally. I'm not rejecting him. Even if I want to face it, I can't. Hekbiu's voice dropped. Are you afraid your elder brother's illness will be inherited? Hekbiu's pupils suddenly contracted. Looking at his back, Hekbiu said, it's obvious. You're afraid that if you gain a divine beast, then if you go mad one day, you'll hurt even more people. Hekbiu suddenly exploded. Enough, uncle. What do you know? Who says that illness will definitely be inherited? Hekbiu replied calmly. How could I not know? I'm afraid too. Afraid my daughter might inherit my illness. Hekbiu listened quietly, without saying a word. Then, why are you worrying about something so pointless? Hekbiu lifted her chin. There's a genius doctor right here. 2 days ago, I already diagnosed the second great uncle. The medicine that needs to be made is a lot, but still less than what little uncle needs. And in my third life, I already had experience treating mania and epilepsy. As long as we buy the right medicinal herbs at the market, there won't be a problem. It'll also help me improve this body's proficiency. Everything is going according to my plan. So Wolf Brother and Little Uncle don't need to worry about anything. Hekbiyu looked at Hek Bilong with confidence. You've seen what I can do. Even that incurably ill, sleepyhead of an uncle has gotten better. I'm far more capable than you think. The more you see, the more surprised you'll be. So don't worry about anything else. Just focus on how you're going to repay me. She handed the little creature to Hek Guyuan. Take him. It's fine if you bring him with you. As far as she knew, after Little Uncle died, Hek Guyuan would turn dark, but he would not go mad. And even if he really did, she would definitely be able to cure him. Hek Guyuan lowered his head and looked at it. I never thought about completely getting rid of him or ignoring him. Of course, I really did think it was terrifying. I was scared. I even wondered why, when I didn't need him, he had appeared. Uncle was right. I've always been afraid that one day I'd get the same illness as father. The physician who came last time said it might be hereditary, but now I think maybe it doesn't matter. I kept imagining father's condition worsening and imagining what I'd be like in the future if I got sick too. But now I won't. It's all thanks to you. Biyu, I'll repay this kindness properly. Hek Guyuan looked at Hek Biyu. You're special. In the future, you'll need many warriors to protect you. I want to become stronger too. Hek Guyuan cupped the tiny creature in both hands, his gaze gentle. I used to be a bad master, but I don't want this poor child to disappear. From now on, I'll try to face him properly. I won't run away anymore. The little thing opened its eyes in his palm, looking especially at peace. Hek Biyu watched them. The original story really had set it up this way. Divine beasts and ability users were life partners bound closely together. In the previous cycles, Hek Guyuan had always denied his partner's existence, and in the end had personally destroyed him. What had he felt then? Hek Guyuan held the little creature against his cheek and gently rubbed against it. In any case, seeing a patient overcome hardship and recover always felt good. Even if her cousin wasn't entirely just a potato in this miserable world, sometimes this was the only place she had. Hek Bilong reached out, wanting to pat Hek Guyuan on the head. Do you know what the last record said? Hek Guyuan abruptly stepped back. Please don't touch me. The little creature flew out of Hek Guyuan's hands. Hek Biyu caught it in her hands. Is this how you show your gratitude? The little creature spread its wings in her hands like an adorable chick. I don't have time to worry about a father who may as well not exist. Hek Biyu's gaze became firm. Hek Guyuan had chosen to face his fear. He believed in hope and the future, that she should face things too. After saying all those bold words to Cousin Tang, turning and running away now would be ridiculous. Hek Bilong stroked Hek Guyuan's head. I made up my mind. Dad, I'm going to find you. She turned and ran off into the distance. Passing through layers of bellwood trees, Hek Biyu walked alone along the forest path and let out a long sigh. They both looked terrified. It took me a lot of effort to stop them from coming with me. This time, I really want to go alone. Hek Biyu, my father, in my first life, second life, and third life, until I went to find him myself, he never once came to look for me. Mother died young from illness. Even then, father never visited her. After 3 lifetimes of reincarnation, I had only barely pieced together what illness he had. Since I decided to face him, I had to think calmly. Strictly speaking, for the sake of achieving my goals, it would be better if a father role existed. I needed to think about how to make use of him and where he could be useful. Hek Biyu tightened her grip on the bundle in her hand. I'm going to offer him a contract to interact with him purely as contractual partners. After all, I don't need a father at all. She crossed the abandoned Eastern District and walked for a very, very long time. At the end stood a giant cherry tree. The person beneath the tree, Hek Biyu, stopped in her tracks. She saw a man leaning against the trunk, his long hair loose, his clothes hanging open. The man lifted his eyelids, his gaze falling on her. Cute little thing. Who are you? Hek Biyu looked up at him. You were the father even reincarnation seemed to have abandoned. This man was my father. She had 1,000 things to say, but before all that, she had to call him this at least once. She bent slightly. Hello. Hek Biyu puffed out her cheeks and shouted that word with all her strength. Mister. Hek Biyu slowly lowered his head. Mister, looking down at her, he said, I'll ask again. Who are you? Wow, he's really tall. She'd blurted out, Mister, before she could stop herself. It looked like the joke had to end here. In this life, I have to get along with this man properly. Hek Biyu straightened her back. I'm your daughter. Hek Biyu looked baffled. What? Hek Biyu emphasized it again. I said, I'm your daughter. Covering his mouth with one hand, Hek Biyu said, I don't have a daughter. One embarrassing thing to say right off the bat. Hek Biyu's gaze sharpened. Say whatever you want. Your illness must have made you forget everything. Your parents, your siblings, your friends, your wife, even me. My father's illness, in Earth terms, was a kind of Alzheimer's. His memory kept deteriorating, and he often became blank and dazed. It was something I'd only discovered after 3 reincarnations. But that no longer mattered. Hekbiyu looked straight into the man's eyes. Even if you can't remember me, that's fine. Hekbiyu frowned tightly. Hekbiyu did not retreat. Since you brought me into this world, at least take responsibility. Hekbiyu seemed thoughtful. Akaim fine. I think I did hear that I was married once, so that part may be true. But suddenly Hekbiyu's feet left the ground, and her body was lightly lifted upward. She stared in shock at her own body being raised into the air by an invisible force. Hekbiyu crossed his arms, expression stern. Why should I believe you? This was the power of a wind mage. Just as Uncle had said. Your father's ability? Hekbilong had looked puzzled. Why are you asking that? I've never seen it even once. Hekbilong's eyes had widened. What? Then how have you survived all these years on your own? Does that make any sense? Hekbilong held his forehead. Oh, my head hurts. Why me and not Big Brother? Hekbiyu had answered softly. Uncle only just stabilized, and then he went back into seclusion. Hekbiyu shut her eyes tightly. That person made me uneasy. It felt like he could see through everything. She suddenly opened her eyes. Are you going to talk or not? If not, I'm leaving. Hekbilong had hurriedly waved his hands. Wait. I'll talk. Don't move. Clearing his throat, he said, First, your father can control wind, and he's absurdly strong. Maybe even stronger than Big Brother. He lives alone now, at the far end of the Eastern District, and almost never comes out. He most likely won't recognize you. He won't recognize your mother either. You should at least remember he was married, right? He just can't remember anymore. Then what about his illness? What? You didn't know he was sick? His eyes had shifted away. I didn't know. Hekbilong had turned away. Go see for yourself. Hekbiyu was carried forward by the wind. If I hadn't known he had this ability, I definitely would have been startled. There's actually a pond here. Good. If anything happens, I'll use that. Hekbiyu looked at her. You say you're my daughter? You got some nerve saying that out loud when you don't resemble me in the slightest. Hekbiyu turned around. Everyone says I look exactly like my mother. The first time I saw your portrait, I was surprised too. Hekbiyu lowered his head. Countless people have said nonsense like that. I must look like some pitiful sick man. And now even a child like you has been sent to deceive me. Whatever your purpose isn't approaching me. I'm not your father. Hekbiyu glared at Hekbiyu. Trash. Want to fall into the pond. Double trash. Her face flushed red with anger. You'll regret this. Hey, Dad, I may look like this, but I'm a doctor. A pharmacist, too. Hekbiyu looked disdainful. A brat like you? Hekbiyu refused to back down. I'm not lying. I'll prove it to you. She held out a small plate. This is a paternity tester. Raising it in front of the man, Hekbiyu said, You know what this is, right? Put your blood and my blood on it. Then check the color. If the bloodline matches, it turns blue. If it doesn't, it turns black. I only need 1 drop of your blood. Without hesitation, he cut his finger with a blade of wind. A drop of blood fell, splattering onto the testing plate. Blue light flashed across it. Hekbiyu smiled brilliantly. See, it's blue. Great. There's something like paternity testing here, too. Thanks to all those aristocratic, illegitimate child problems, this kind of thing is even more common here than on Earth. You can check as much as you want. It's not fake. You can go look for yourself. Or I can give you my blood, and you can test it yourself. Hekbiyu looked at her coldly. Seeing how stubbornly you defy fate, I'll reluctantly admit you carry my blood. Still as hard-mouthed as ever. But what needed to be said still had to be said. Anyway, what I want to discuss isn't whether we're related by blood. Hekbiyu asked, Then what is it? Floating in front of him, Hekbiyu said, I came to heal you. Dad, I'm going to cure your illness. So let's sign a contract. Become my guardian and help me become the strongest healer on the continent. 0 interest, 0 fees, basically free. You only need to provide labor. She took out a small vial from her chest. A ball of water danced above her palm. Well, I didn't lie, did I? I really am a doctor. Hekbiyu was silent. A cold smile curled at his lips. You even used your ability? Hekbiyu suddenly leaned in, his eyes sharp. Then diagnose me. Hekbiyu looked up at him. Now, Hekbiyu answered firmly, yes. Hekbiyu drew a deep breath. All right. The pond water surged upward, becoming a massive curtain of water that wrapped around Hekbiyu. Streams of water circled his body, flashing with strange light. Hekbiyu watched the scene. I was planning to do this anyway. I didn't expect him to agree so easily. I've treated illnesses related to memory before, but never one exactly like father's. Maybe like uncle and eldest uncle, only herbs and prescriptions will appear in my mind. Suddenly she froze. Hekbiyu looked up. There was nothing. No medicinal ingredients. No formula. Hekbiyu's pupils shrank abruptly. How could there be nothing? This kind of result usually only appeared when diagnosing the dead. Other than the terminal illness I saw in my third life, I had never seen such a result in a living person. Hekbiyu reached out and touched the floating bubbles. Could it be that I can't cure this person? Covering her mouth in horror, Hekbiyu panicked. Oh no, my expression gave everything away. Hekbiyu chuckled softly. The water around him burst apart into countless droplets. He turned away as the droplets fell. You can't see an answer, King Yu. In the end, you're no different from all the others. If you understand now, go back. Looking down at Hekbiyu said, I won't pursue the matter of you pretending to be my daughter. She lifted her head, voice firm. I'm not lying. Even if I couldn't find the answer immediately, my ability is real. I already proved it to you. I'm a real pharmacist and doctor. Tears welled in Hekbiyu's eyes, her voice trembling with agitation. You saw it with your own eyes. Why don't you understand? I really am your daughter. Why would I lie about something like that? Do you think I came here willingly? No matter what, I have to go to the main estate. Even if not for medicinal herbs, there are already too many reasons I have to go. Whether I want to or not, I have to persuade you. I know you didn't choose to be sick, but you really are a terrible father. I hope one day you'll understand that. Hekbiyu spoke coldly. If you're finished, then leave. Hekbiyu lowered her eyes and turned to go. Then she suddenly turned back. What kind of joke is that? You're my father. Hekbiyu looked stunned. Hekbiyu did not retreat an inch. Who said you're completely beyond treatment? You gave up even faster than your brothers did. That pond over there looks clean enough, right? I don't know. But there's no time to hesitate. This is a gamble. Hekbiyu leaped forward without hesitation and jumped into the water. Water splashed everywhere. Hekbiyu opened her eyes underwater. The water quality was surprisingly clean. Good, I can use my ultimate ability with this. Hekbiyu grabbed her out of the water in one motion and hauled her up. Holding the soaking wet Hekbiyu in his arms, he demanded, What exactly are you doing? This looks like a shallow pool, but the depth. Hekbiyu smiled brightly. Thank you. What? Tilting up her face, she beamed. You saved me. You're a good person. I take back what I said about trash. Hekbiyu remained expressionless. So you jumping on purpose? Hekbiyu admitted it frankly. I had my reasons. Since that's the case, can you let me stay in the water a little longer? Hekbiyu said nothing and slowly lowered her back into the pond. Hekbiyu closed her eyes. Good. Both the patient and I are immersed in water now. Every condition for activating my ability has been met. Hekbiyu stared in shock at everything before him. Water gathered around Hekbiyu, forming an enormous watery veil. A gigantic figure made of pure water gradually appeared within the splendid ripples, like an ancient water spirit. Hekbiyu floated in the water with her arms outstretched. Water flowed around her, and Hekbiyu, forming a massive whirlpool. Bubbles rose, blue light shimmered, and the two of them slowly sank through the azure water, wrapped in that mysterious force. Hekbiyu's eyes were calm and steady. All right. I'm going to begin the treatment. I have 3 abilities. The first is the power to heal my own wounds with water. The second is to diagnose a patient and learn the prescription and method of treatment. And the third, one I have never revealed to anyone, is the power to heal a patient at the cost of my own lifespan. A tree of life made of water appeared within Hekbiyu's consciousness. Every leaf on the tree represented the total span of my life. To completely cure this illness, how much would it take? Hekbiyu's pupils abruptly contracted. She saw the answer. On the tree of life in the water. Every leaf withered and fell in an instant, vanishing into nothing. Only a bare trunk remained. Do I have to use all of it? If I cure father, does that mean I'll die? Hekbiyu's gaze hardened. There was no other choice. Rather than pursue a complete cure, it would be better to make him improve first, to restore part of father's memory first. She pressed her palm against Hekbiyu's forehead. A soft glow spilled from her palm and spread through the water. Brother, eldest brother. Just this once, let me go out instead. Hekbiyu stood with his back to her, expression cold. No, I can't switch. I have a reason I must go out. Hekbilong curled his lip disdainfully. TCH, you're going to see that older sister again anyway. Is that your first love eldest brother mentioned? You want to run off because you're infatuated with her. Hekbiyu's cheeks reddened slightly. Was it that obvious? He covered the smile at the corner of his mouth. That's not very good. The sound of water rang out as the memory began to blur. I hope his name will have the character you in it. No, Mom. He looks like me, but much prettier than I am. I see. A gentle figure surfaced in the memory. Long purple hair, a warm smile. That person was Hekbi, who suddenly opened his eyes and clarity returned to them. Water droplets slid down his face. Hekbi lifted her head, wearing an innocent, radiant smile. So how was my treatment? Hekbi stared at her in silence, his eyes deep. Then he slowly spoke, his voice hoarse and full of bewilderment. What exactly are you? Hekbi raised a finger to her lips. Chill. It's a secret. Trade secret. The power to cure incurable illness at the cost of lifespan. That was her secret. How incredible. If this ability were exposed, my situation would become dangerous. So it had to remain secret. A long time ago, I had only used this ability once. I never thought I'd get to see Mother's face. I'd never even imagined it. Hekbi's expression grew grave. But one thing was very strange. When Mother's memory surfaced, the water had violently churned. Father's consciousness had briefly disappeared at that moment. So Father most likely hadn't seen those memories. Why? Was it related to his illness? Hekbi lowered his head and looked at her. Your ability has already proven itself. So why did you prove it to me? A smile touched Hekbi's lips. She stretched out a small hand and pointed toward the distant main residence. I want to go there. The Heck family's main house. I want to be acknowledged. I don't want to grow up as someone abandoned. This is a contract and also a deal. She looked up at Hekbi, eyes unwavering. If you help me from time to time, like you did just now, then I'll heal you. And when I grow up, I'll be able to heal you even better than I can now. If in this life I really can go home, then this body will no longer be useful to me. Before I return to the treasure, I can use up all the lifespan I have left to cure your illness. So become my guardian. Help me. Hekbi was silent for a moment. What is your name? Hekbi blinked. Your name. You said you're my daughter. Hekbi broke into a radiant smile. Hekbi, my name is Hekbi. Hekbi, I've seen countless doctors and pharmacists, but you're the first person who has ever improved my condition. With a physician as young as you, I almost feel as if a god has possessed me. Father's illness had only improved temporarily. The symptoms would continue. Since you'll forget again soon anyway, then we can talk more easily, right? Actually, I'm from another world. Were you assigned here because you were sick too? I'm not sick. My ability is real. Hekbi buried her face in the man's chest. No wonder. How could you believe something like that? Looking down at the girl in his arms, Hekbi said, all right, I'll help you. Hekbi gently stroked Hekbi's head. I'll grant your wish. To think this hand would feel warm. I really am full of strange fantasies. Father, did you know? They say my name was made by taking one character from yours and one from Mother's. In my third cycle, that was the only story I ever heard about my parents. Hekbi buried her face even deeper. But I'd rather you didn't remember any of that. We're going to part eventually anyway. In that case, this is better, isn't it? Hekbi walked through the woods. When I wake in the morning, I go sit beneath the tree until sunset. Sometimes strange thoughts flood my mind, but I forget them quickly. An impulse would strike, urging me to go somewhere, but a deep weariness would soon drown everything out. I could only close my eyes. That dream again, a dream wrapped in red silk. Who was the woman behind the silk? A figure raised a finger to her lips. Chill, I won't tell you my gender. Clear laughter rang out. My chest ached faintly, but the dream always ended abruptly before the woman could come closer. Mother isn't the family head. Hekbi must die. If he completely loses his memory and becomes an enemy of the Heck family, then what? His cruel nature and memories are all gone. Who do you think his sword will point at? That's right, brother-in-law is far too dangerous. Why not brainwash him? His head is completely blank right now. It's the perfect time. A man suddenly collapsed and hit the ground hard. Another assassin. They always appear right when I'm about to forget. Who's it this time? Older sister, brother-in-law, or the family head? I never intended to die quietly, but this is annoying. Hekbi opened his eyes. Water murmured nearby. He stood in a misty grove, facing a clear pond. Hekbi's smiling face surfaced in his mind. How was my treatment? Chill, that's a trade secret. Come to the market with me, Hekbi. My daughter. Birdsong echoed through the courtyard. Hekbi tossed and turned in bed. Her fingers curled unconsciously. That exhausted figure. All right, this is home. How'd I get back yesterday? After successfully signing the contract with Father, I've been so excited on the way back. See you next time. Then I used up all my strength and fainted on the way home. I said it before, using up my ability is exhausting. And a child body is weak too. Then who brought me back? Was it Hekbi? A voice sounded from beside the bed. Did you sleep well? Hekbi opened her eyes in fright. Hekbi was looking at her. She jerked backward. Good heavens, you scare me to death. What are you doing here? Smiling, Hekbi replied, watching you. Hekbi clutched the blanket tighter. Why are you watching me? Because you've entered a stable period. I wanted to look at our benefactor's face. Hekbiyu's pupils shrank. This man's smile made me uneasy. She quietly shifted her body away from the bedside. Hekbiyuin suddenly grabbed Hekbiyu and lifted her into the air. In a falsely aggrieved tone, he said, "Oh dear, why are you hiding from me? If you run away, Uncle will be hurt." "What did Uncle do wrong?" Struggling in his arms, Hekbiyu shouted, "Let me go, Uncle." Hekbiyuin's tone darkened. "Don't call me that. Eldest Uncle." A smile flashed through his eyes. "That's what you should call me." Hekbiyu looked baffled. What is he talking about? "I'll call you whatever I want." "Uncle, let go of me." Hekbiyuin smiled even more happily. "What? You like that title?" He hugged Hekbiyu tightly. "Since you want it, I'll give it to you. I'll give you everything." Hekbiyu struggled desperately. "What nonsense are you talking about? Let me go already. You still want to take my son too? That's bundled sales." Hekbiyu screamed. "No, fine. Maybe you don't want me." Hekbiyuan entered carrying a bowl. "I understand." "Biyu." Hekbiyu shuddered all over. No, that's not what I meant. When did you get here?" The dining table was covered with delicate dishes. Lowering her head, Hekbiyu said, "Brother, about what just happened, don't misunderstand." Hekbiyuan shook his head. "I won't. As long as you finish your breakfast, I'll forgive you." Hekbiyu looked up. "Really?" She immediately picked up her spoon. "Okay. I'll finish it all." Hekbiyuin pointed to the dishes on the table. "Do you know? What's in front of us is chicken, but what's in your porridge is beef." Hekbiyu spat out a mouthful at once. She began coughing violently. Covering his mouth, Hekbiyuin laughed loudly. "Wow, you're amazing." Hekbiyuan cried out in shock. "Father, how can you say something like that to a child?" Hekbiyu's face turned red. "So it's true. Where did you get the money to buy beef? The supplies here shouldn't be that plentiful." Smiling, Hekbiyuin said, "Child, sometimes we deal with troublesome people and receive payment." Hekbiyu asked in confusion, "Payment?" Hekbiyuan answered calmly, "That's the money we use to buy father's medicine. We've always done it this way. When someone in the family needs to be dealt with, they come to father." That made Hekbiyu's pupils widen. What the hell? They drove him away and put him aside on the pretext that he was ill, yet because his ability was too valuable, they kept exploiting him. Disgusting. A vile, rotten family. Hekbiyu's hand clenched tightly at the hem of her clothes. "You won't have to do that sort of thing anymore." Hekbiyu straightened her chest. "From today on, I'm a master here. This is my 4th return. At the very least, I know which lottery tickets will win in the future. If you listen to me, good fortune will fall from the sky." Hekbiyuan looked confused. "What are you talking about?" Hekbiyuin covered the boy's mouth with one hand. "Wow, how reassuring. Then we're family now, right?" Hekbiyu froze. Hekbiyuin smiled and said, "If you're the head of the household, then we're the people you protect. Doesn't that make us family?" Hekbiyu answered softly, "In theory, yes." But Hekbiyuin leaned forward. "Then you'd better answer honestly. Why did you faint on the street yesterday?" Hekbiyuin pressed on. "Family members shouldn't have secrets from each other, right?" Hekbiyuan was just about to speak. "Father always tells me not to hide things." Hekbiyuin quickly covered the boy's mouth. MMPH. Hekbiyu turned her head, eyes flustered. "What excuse should I make? I can't exactly say I used my secret ability." Uncle was very shocked. "Why were you lying in the street, soaking wet?" "Could it be?" Hekbiyuin bent close. "Did your father hit you?" His eyes instantly turned blood red. "Do you want Uncle to teach him a lesson for you?" Hekbiyu shuddered violently. "I do not want to become an orphan because of a misunderstanding." She hurriedly shook her head. "Nothing happened. He even said he'd take me to the market. I'm just physically weak." Hekbiyuin examined her in silence for a moment. Then he murmured, "By the way, Uncle wants to help you as much as possible. I want to become your guardian." Hekbiyu looked doubtful. "Why? Even if you didn't do that, as long as I asked, you'd still help treat me." Hekbiyuin let out a low laugh. "Of course, treatment is a very important part of it. I owe your mother a favor." "A lie. If that were true, you should have found me long ago. When I was abandoned in the Eastern Quarter, when the family used me like a slave, you never appeared. Just like father. Not once in the first 3 returns." Hekbiyuin turned his face aside. "I can't deny that. I am sorry. If I had to make an excuse, I thought you were living well in the main house." Hekbiyu looked up. "My mother." Hekbiyuin met her gaze. "Yes. Because your mother did some things for the family." "Mother, someone I barely knew." The strange thing was, in every cycle, I had hardly heard anything about her. It was as if someone had deliberately hidden everything. Thinking back, by the time I remember my past lives, she was already gone. By my 3rd return, when I was finally able to obtain information, I had already left the family. Hekbiyuin continued. "So I didn't even know you were in the Eastern Quarter. I'm sorry, right?" This man was crazy. He spent far more days delirious than lucid. How could he possibly spare any attention for an insignificant niece? Hekbiyu put on a bright smile. "I understand." She folded her hands neatly and sat there obediently. Hekbiyuin looked at her. "Oh dear, are you angry? Let's go wash up." Hekbiyuin stopped him. "Wait, I'll prepare hot water for you." Then Uncle can go chop some firewood. Heck Yun clenched his fist. I'm unemployed now. At least I should do a servant's work properly. Heck Yuan looked up at him. Please don't break anything. When you get angry, you use lightning. Looking wounded, Heck Yun said, My son, those words cut deep. Just because she had helped him once, he treated her with such concern. What a strange person. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting mottled shadows. Heck raised her little face. So that's how it is. Heck lowered his eyes. I understand. But why are you telling me all this? Heck Yun chopped wood with force. Heck Yuan carried an armful of wood. Father, why did you react like that just now? Heck Yun stopped what he was doing. What reaction? Heck Yuan explained. I mean when you were having an episode. It clearly hadn't ended yet, but you tied a red string to the door. Heck Yun turned his face slightly. That. He recalled the scene. I think it was because of blood. After the frenzy ended, I found a bleeding bird in the courtyard. By the time I saw it, it was already... Heck Yuan looked worried. That's never happened before. Do you think your condition is getting worse? Heck Yun drove the axe into the chopping block. I'm not sure either. Leaning on the handle, he smiled faintly. But it'll get better from now on. After all, our genius little family head said she'd cure me. I'm telling you this in advance. Eldest uncle might attack you because of a misunderstanding, so you have to be careful. If that happens, you must run away. Understood? Ever since we first met, I've known what your temper is like. But you also need to learn not to take on unnecessary trouble. Isn't all of this because you fainted on your way home? As my father, you should be able to handle this kind of thing. With his eyes shut, he said, If you have complaints, next time I'll escort you home personally. How did it turn into this? She patted her chest. Father, you promised to be my guardian, like my personal knight. If something happens, you have to protect your doctor. Heck looked up at him. Right, how did the matter I asked you about go? Heck replied, You mean going to a market? There are some procedures to handle, so we can't go right away. You need permission from the supervisor of the restricted zone to leave. I already sent word to the main building last night. As soon as the permit arrives, we can depart. Heck looked up at him in silence. What's with that look? I just didn't expect you to arrange it so quickly. So doing as you asked is a problem too? Didn't you say that if you wanted to get better, you had to do as I said? What? When did I ever say something like that? The culprit never remembers her own crimes. Heck puffed out her cheeks. The culprit. I mean a wind mage who threatened his own daughter the first time they met. I came all this way because I was worried about you. Where are you going? Heck didn't look back. I'm going home. That's all for today. Tell me when you're ready. Heck followed after her. Heck looked up at him, confused. What? Didn't you tell me to take you home? Since I'm asking something of you, I suppose I should listen. Heck scooped her up in one motion. Heck looked up at him blankly. I'll give you the fastest trip in the world. Heck clutched his clothes tightly. D-Dad, wait. The wind howled past. Heck pushed off with both legs. Perched on his shoulder, Heck screamed, Ea. The two shot forward like an arrow from a bow, vanishing into the forest in an instant. You lunatic, I'm only 3 years old. What kind of 3-year-old rides a high-speed roller coaster? Heck landed smoothly. Heck went limp over his shoulder, still shaken. Turning his head slightly, he said, Now that I think about it, where do you live? If I stay with him, does that mean I can go out? Heck weakly pounded at the ground, begging for help. Again and again. Her little face was red, and her hands kept slipping. Heck Yuan took the pestle from her hand. Give it to me. Heck reached out to snatch it back. Get it back. I'll do it myself. Heck Yuan held the pestle. What can those little hands of yours even do? What are you doing? You stayed up late again last night, didn't you? Heck looked up at him. What else would I be doing? I'm making medicine for the uncles. It's already been 2 days since I saw Father. There's still no message from him. I need to keep myself busy. She lowered her head to look at her sleeve. I even prepared a special medicine for him, just in case. When is he going to send word? If there's still no news by tomorrow, I'll barge into the main road myself. Heck Yuan took the pestle. I'll grind it. You go get some rest. He looked at Heck You know, you're really bad at asking others for help. Why can't you rely on the people around you? Why, you ask? Heck stood alone on the grass, her shadow stretched long. Because I never had anyone I could rely on. In my third life, I finally escaped the family and thought everything would get better. But I discovered that no matter how capable you are, this world is always cruel to a girl with no one to depend on. The man stroked his chin and smiled. That's what I like about you. Little apothecary. I'm a physician now. You idiot. The man smiled back. Of course, of course. The greatest physician in history. The one who cured my chronic illness. And also the most beautiful physician on the entire continent. Hekbiyu's cheeks flushed slightly. Are you joking? What does that have to do with anything? But you really are beautiful. In the end, the only person I ever opened my heart to betrayed me. I even used my own life force for the first time. Hekbiyu lowered her head in dejection. All of a sudden, I lost all motivation for my work. Fine, then come here, brother. Hekbiyu handed over the herbs. Grind this for me. Hek Guyuan smiled as he took them. Leave it to me. Hekbiyu pointed at another batch of herbs nearby. And that one too, please. Looking at his back, Hekbiyu called out, hey, do you think making medicine is easy? Beginner. He looked around. Come to think of it, where did eldest uncle go? I haven't seen him. Hek Guyuan stopped what he was doing. My father went to see someone, to tell them that job I mentioned to you. You won't be continuing it anymore. Hekbiyu looked a little surprised. To tell them? Hek Guyuan answered firmly. I mean to the Lord.